from Stamping Imperfection. Thank you so much for joining me today and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I would love for you to subscribe and hit that bell so you get notifications every time I upload a new video, and I would love it if everybody could give me a thumbs up. So I'm making a video using some Maker Forte video goodies today. This is actually the gorgeous Gardenia stamp set, and I'm using the Happy Birthday sentiment set, which I love. And I'm going to add color with these Maker Forte inks. So you can see this is pretty much an outline stamp. There are a couple solid stamps there for just the leaves, but those Gardenias are just outlined. So that means I need to color or watercolor or do something to add color to those. I can't just stamp it on. So I'm going to use my inks to watercolor, and I'm using the Maker Forte Color Hive inks today. I'm really falling in love with these inks because they come out with 3 new colors every month, which is super fun, and they're foam pads. I love the octagon shape, and I just really love the colors they're coming out with. I think that it's just really different than a lot of the ink colors that I have. So here I'm stamping the Gardenia, the largest Gardenia, in the center of a piece of watercolor cardstock, cut it 4 by 5 1/4, and I am stamping that in the Maker Forte Remarkable Eclipse black ink. It is a dye ink, so you saw me clean off my stamp there, and because it's a dye ink, it's water reactive, so I can't just stamp it and then watercolor. I'm actually going to go ahead and hit this with some clear embossing ink, and I'm going to use clear embossing powder on top of this so that I'll have a nice black image, but the clear embossing will actually, once I heat set it, it will seal in that black ink, and I can watercolor and do whatever I want to it, so that makes me happy. So I'm just adding my clear embossing ink. I'll heat set this and it'll be good to go. Now I am going to add some leaves. I'm going to do a bit of masking today. And I also actually ended up making 2 of these card fronts because the first one, the one that I'm working on right now, I accidentally double stamped the leaves. And I was going to toss it and get rid of it, and decided that I can fix that. So I'll end up with 2 cards here because I did go ahead and make a second card front. Now here I'm creating my mask. This is masking paper. I really like this masking paper. I believe that Maker Forte has the Gina K in the store, which is, I also love that masking paper. This one is Inkadinka-Doo. I've had it forever, and so I think that's what I'm using. I don't have any Gina K left. Both are really good, and it's so nice to have some masking paper. So I stamped on the masking paper, and then I fussy cut out the piece. Here I'm fussy cutting it out, and then I can go ahead and put it over that Gardenia and then stamp the leaves, and they'll look like they're connected together. And I like this technique. I think there's so many things. You can create little scenes. You can do floral bunches. You can put flowers in a vase this way. There are just so many things you can do when you mask. Now, if you don't have masking paper, Post-it notes work great. Plain copy paper works great, in fact. So, and you can make it sticky by adding some Tombow liquid glue to it, letting it dry, and then it becomes temporary adhesive. So I'm going to put that watercolor panel back in, and it's a little bit warped because I heat set it, so I'm just kind of playing with it a little bit, and I am going to put it down with a magnet. So the second time I did this, I was actually more careful about making sure I did not allow the cardstock to get bent. So I'm putting the mask on top. I'll put it back in my MISTI. I'll put a magnet down, which I don't usually do, and I'm now deciding which leaves I want. I really like this little set of 3 because that Gardenia is really big. I picked the biggest leaf set that I could find, so I really like this. So I'm going to do the same thing. It's going to get inked in black. I'll clean the stamp off. That's important. And then I will ink it up in the clear embossing ink, and then I'll go ahead and add clear embossing powder, and then I will heat set that again. So once I got that done, I just smooshed some of my Bubblegum ink, which is a beautiful light pink, and I spritzed it with my Mr. Perfect, which I have filled with water. I love that large. I gotta have the Mr. Perfect PhD, and it's an 8-ounce bottle. I love it. And I'm just giving the whole flower a light coat of this Bubblegum pink. And I put quite a bit of water in there, so it lightened it up even more. The more water you add, the lighter your ink color. Now I have Tiptree jam. Now I could add a second coat with the Bubblegum ink for a darker, spots wherever I put it. And because the more layers of that same ink I put on, I'm definitely going to get darker spots, which is what I'm trying to do with the Bubblegum here. And I don't have quite enough water in this, so I will have to work a little bit to blend out those lines because it's not flowing. I know I don't have enough here because it's not flowing the way I like it to. Because it should mix with that light pink a little bit, and it's not really doing that. So I'll spritz it some more in just a minute, and I'll go back over with some light pink to try to just blend out the lines. And the beautiful thing about watercolor is you can just keep going back over this as long as you don't like work it too much with your brush and cause the paper to like pill up. But you can just keep going over and over the top of it till it looks the way you want it to. And that's one of the things I really like about it. And what my ultimate goal when I do this, just like Copic coloring, I want to get some shades of color. And I want there to be some dark spots and light spots. And if you look, a lot of times if you look at a piece that you really like that somebody's done, like a card on Instagram, or you're watching a YouTube video and you really like something somebody's done, it's usually because they were really good about leaving the dark spots dark and leaving lots of light around the dark places. And I think that's the hardest thing to learn, because you want everything to blend nicely, but a lot of times when you blend it all out, you lose the dark versus light spots. Take a look at some of the watercolored or Copic colored pieces on Instagram, and just look at how dark the dark bits are on somebody's coloring or their painting, and you'll see what I mean. Now, after watching Angie Blum, she said everything needs yellow. So she always drops yellow into her things, and I always love the way it looks. So I'm dropping yellow into my things. And this is English Mustard, which is I love the yellows in this line of ink pads. And this is my favorite ink, though. The mustard yellow is my favorite yellow. And I'm just adding it in, and you can see that it's staying yellow in some places and turning orange in other places, and you still got the pink in there. I just love it. I added a little bit more pink to the center. And as I looked up into the camera, I felt like, I want even more darkness in that center. And I'm just playing with it still. And I really, when this dries, I really like this. So I put that aside to let it dry, and I did the flower on the second panel exactly the same way I did the first one. Although no two ever come out alike, I smushed on palm tree green and more of the English mustard yellow, and I'm just putting that green in the center. Maker Forte doesn't yet have a yellow green that I love. They have gorgeous greens, absolutely gorgeous, but they don't have like an olive or yellow green. I like to use a yellow green on my leaves. So I'm adding a lot of yellow to the green and around the green. You saw I left white space there. So I'm just trying to drop as much yellow in as I can without making it look yellow. And I'm going to do the same thing to the second one. You can see how light the second one is. Like I really kept the second one much lighter, so they look the same but different. And I did go have dinner while these dried, by the way. So once I finished the painting, I went and had dinner because I knew there were more things I wanted to do. I want to stencil a background over the top of this. So I'm going to go ahead and make a mask of the leaves so that I can cover the leaves and the flowers. So I'm back from dinner at this point, and they're both dry. And on this one, I don't know how well you can see it, but I really did get a double stamp there. When I picked it, I went to stamp it a second time on my MISTI. The paper had moved and I didn't notice. So I'm using a journaling pen. This is a 0.5 journaling pen. And this was a good size for me to do that. And I'm kind of going over where the two lines are and kind of making one bolder line. And I'm okay with the bolder line because I use that clear embossing powder over that Gardenia, and it made the lines very bold. Like that clear embossing powder, when I heat set it, really brightened up the outline around the flower. So I'm okay with doing this with my journaling pen. And it's most noticeable on the big leaf though, because that one side of the big leaf seemed like the gap between the two lines was much bigger. So I'm kind of filling in that gap, and I'm pretty happy with this, the way this turns out. A journaling pen like this is handy to have because if you go outside the lines, like when you're Copic coloring or watercoloring like this, you can clean it up with that journaling pen by just going over the outline again. And you can clean it up. I learned that trick from Kelly Lativola Taylor a couple of years ago, actually, and it's very useful. So I'm putting my masks down, and I'm going to pull out a stencil that I absolutely love. This one is called Cascading Diamonds, and I just couldn't wait to order this as soon as I saw it because it's got different sized diamonds, so I thought that was kind of intriguing. Even if they'd all been the same, I would have bought this because this stencil is so perfect around flowers, and I love doing florals. Absolutely love doing florals. So I pulled out this new ink color I got. It's Blue Moon, and I decided that I definitely want to use my blending brush on this. So I pulled out my blending brush. I'm going to wipe it off a little on the side of that stencil. I love that they have the big wide sides. And this is a new format for all of the stencils Maker Forte is doing. I'm not going to cover the whole back of this. I'm just going to do inside around the edge of the flower. So I still have lots of white space, and I love the way that looks when I take it off. So I did both of those, and I put a pink matte. This is Bubblegum Pink matte cardstock, and a card base below them. I added a sentiment from the Happy Birthday scent, which I heat embossed in white, and now I'm using white gouache, and I'm mixing it with water, and I'm getting big drops there because I didn't put enough water in. So I will add more water to get some smaller spots. I don't mind the big spots because I kind of want to grunge this up a little bit. So I did add more water and mixed it a little bit better, and I'm just tapping it across my finger. I love adding splatter. I love the way it looks. I just think it's so pretty. And I did that also with black ink and with a little bit of gold ink. So now I'm just going to add some yellow. I believe these are Yellowstone crown jewel gems. And I'm adding a bunch of them. I'm adding like 7 to each card, and you know how stingy I am with these. So I learned this trick from Alexandra when I was watching her the other day, and she showed that if you pour some of your crown jewel gems in the lid, because I like to pick up the ones that are right side up with those on the hook tweezers, it makes it a lot easier. I love those tweezers. And she said that this cap is designed so that if you tap it, it curves at a specific angle. So when you tap the sides, the gems will flip over, and you can flip over tap it till you have as many as you want flipped over, and that tip made it so much easier to use. So I thought that was really interesting. Like, they specifically designed this in a way so that the lid would help you flip the gems over. So I'm going to go ahead with my jewel picker and add a little bit of glue behind each of those. This is another tool that I just can't live without now. Every card I make, I use the jewel picker and the on the hook tweezers. So I love them. So I'm going to have all of these products listed below. I would love it if you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. And I would also love to know, what do you think about splatter? Do you like splatter? Do you like the way it looks, or you don't like the way it looks? Or do you add splatter to your cards, or are you hesitant? Because remember, Maker Forte has splatter stamps if you love the look but you're afraid to do it. And there is a line with splatter where you have just enough and then you go too much. Here are the stamp sets I used again. Gorgeous Gardenia and Happy Birthday. Thanks for watching, friends. Have a wonderful day.